My brain was racing to catch up with what my eyes were taking in, but it was failing to send any sensible messages back to my eyes to tell them to close. Instead, they took in that smattering of chest hair that made you want to run your fingers through it. I tried to ignore those abdominal muscles that were washboard hard, trim, and rippling under my gaze. My mind refused to tell my eyes to stop dragging along the track of those obliques down to his, "Like what you see, Angel?" he drawled from where he lounged against the high footboard of the bed. He had his ankles crossed, and it gave me a full frontal I had often dreamed about seeing. Not that I could ever have imagined what I was seeing, ever. "Your eyes are a little dilated. Maybe you should sit down." I swallowed, willing my brain to come up with a witty comeback. It wouldn't. It couldn't. Not when faced with Blaze and all his deliciousness. Not only was my brain concussed, but it was also speechless. Everything on his body was hard. The way he stood in front of me, his eyes roving across my body like it was the first time he'd seen me, was unnerving. What was even more unnerving was, as he drank me in, his giant, monster slowly hardened until it was pointing to the ceiling in a monumental display of manhood. Try as I might, I could not look away. My brain had stopped functioning altogether. "Is that real?" I stuttered, my mouth working independently of my brain. My hand was waving in the direction of his groin like a white flag of surrender. Blaze glanced down at his groin and back to my eyes. "Last time I checked." I took a step back. "You must be like 6 feet long." His bark of laughter filled the room, but he made no move to cover himself. "Not possible, sweet thing." I thought about what I said and resisted the urge to shake my head. I mean tall. You're like 6 feet tall. I wasn't talking about—" I waved my hand at his giant member that kept wagging at me. "Mr. Monster." "Mr. Monster?" He pushed off the bed and threw a t-shirt over his head, smoothing the soft cotton across his hard chest. It did nothing to cover the rest of him. I don't know what to call something that big." He snorted and grabbed a pair of boxers from the bed. I couldn't help but notice how fluid his movements were as he dressed. It was easy to imagine the way he'd move over and around a woman when he loved her. I shifted air through my teeth. I did not just have that thought about Blaze McAwley. My gaze drifted to his face as he tucked himself inside the cotton material. I swear he moaned, but I couldn't be sure, considering my brain injury. I should have lifted my gaze to his face, or anywhere other than Mr. Monster, but I couldn't. My brain wouldn't give my eyes the order to stop ogling this cowboy.